Over the last couple weeks, we've been talking about how God has a game plan or strategy for our lives, particularly when it comes to loving and serving others. And this week, we're going to talk specifically about why those things are sometimes difficult to do. But before we get started, I want to ask you a question that you probably won't want to honestly answer. Does serving others ever feel like a chore to you?
Or do you ever feel dread when your youth group is planning a community service project? Or do you feel irritated or frustrated when your family wants you to volunteer over the holidays? Or does the idea of going on a mission trip leave you more uninterested than excited? When it comes to serving and helping others, sometimes we view it like a chore just to check off our list. For a lot of us, there just seems to be this pushback when it comes to serving.
Maybe for you, it's because you feel like you can't make a difference serving others. You're only in middle school, right? How much of a difference could you actually make serving someone else? Or maybe you don't think it's all that important. In the long list of things you have to do in your life, homework, sports, family, friends, church, and all the rest, serving just doesn't rank at the top of your list. Maybe serving for you feels like an inconvenience. You don't have the time, energy, or motivation to make room for it in your life. So when you're asked to serve, it feels like more of a problem than anything else.
Or maybe you honestly don't want to serve because you just don't care. None of us probably want to admit that we felt that way from time to time. But I think for a lot of us, it's true. We see pictures of people in need, we hear sermons about the importance of serving, we're asked to volunteer in some other part of the church, and we don't feel any emotion about it. We honestly don't care that much.
I think all of us can relate to those feelings about serving because at some point along the way, we stopped looking at serving as part of God's game plan for our lives and started seeing it as an item on a checklist. We do it because we think we have to, or because we're afraid we'll feel guilty if we don't, or we do it because we think that's what a good Christian is supposed to do.
It doesn't come from the heart. It doesn't come from love. And here's what I think we need to understand. When we look at serving as a chore, we're missing out on a big part of God's game plan for our lives. So what if we could flip the script on serving? What if we could move from seeing serving as a chore or checklist item to seeing it as a part of living and loving others for Jesus? The good news is, I think we can.
Some of my favorite verses in the Bible are actually about God's game plan for serving and loving others. And what I've learned from reading them over the years is that serving and loving others isn't as complicated as we make it out to be. It's actually as simple as 20 words. So let's read it together. Learn to do good, seek justice, help the oppressed, defend the cause of orphans, fight for the rights of widows.
Now, I know I said that serving God isn't about a checklist, and this passage reads a little bit like a checklist. But I think if we dig a little deeper, we'll see that it's so much more. This verse gives us a picture of what God cares about, an inside look at His heart. These are the things that are important to Him. And when we're following God's game plan for our lives, what's important to Him becomes important to us. They become a part of our hearts as well. So instead of looking at this verse as just another checklist of things to do, look at it as a starting point for following God's game plan.
What I love about this verse is that it's all about action. It's more than just thinking about doing these things. It's about being motivated to actually do them. It teaches us this: love inspires us to act. And it's the kind of action you can do right now as a middle schooler. So let's break down what this verse could actually look like in your lives. The verse starts out with one command: learn to do good. People see God at work when we live out His goodness through our actions. And doing good is a choice you can make every day. When you do, people will see God at work in your life as well.
Think about all the different places you go on a regular basis. Your home, your school, your neighborhood, your church. Where can you do good there? Is someone in need of encouragement? How can you bring God's goodness to those places just in the way you live? Isaiah went on, seek justice, help the oppressed.
Now those lines kind of feel like they should be in a superhero movie, not from God's game plan for our lives. So maybe you wonder, am I qualified to seek justice on someone's behalf? Can I help someone out from underneath their oppression? I know the words justice and oppress feel really big, but justice in this case just means what's fair and doing what's right. And oppressed here simply means worried or troubled or depressed. So in other words, that part of the verse could read like this: seek what's right and help those who are troubled.
When we put it that way, I think we're all qualified to do that. The truth is, there are all sorts of small ways that we can live these commands out. We just need to pay attention to the people and situations around us. If you see a bully picking on someone at school, how can you step in or speak up? If a lie is being spread around your school, how do you bring the truth to light? If someone is being treated unfairly, how can you be a voice to stop it? With the help of God and others like your church leaders, parents, and small group leaders, you can find a voice to speak out against what's unfair and troubling in your world. You can be moved by God's heart.
The last part of the verse says this: defend the cause of orphans, fight for the rights of widows. Again, I know these feel like huge statements, but you can play a role in these things too. God is calling you to care for and about the people in need around you. Of course, he specifically lists people who have lost someone, a spouse or a parent in this case. Ask yourself, who in my community is missing someone or something from their lives? How can I help them?
And remember, this doesn't mean you have to do some huge grand gesture. It could be as simple as offering to babysit for a single parent in your church, or doing a little yard work for someone who lives alone and might not have the means to do it themselves, or even bringing food to a food pantry that serves families in need.
God's love inspires us to act. That's the game plan he has for our lives. And when our service is motivated by God's heart, it won't feel like a checklist. It will feel like his plan. You as a middle schooler have the opportunity to get in the game and be a part of that plan right now.
You can put your love for Jesus in motion. You can be inspired by the love God freely gives us and put it into action by helping others. To do this, first pray to God to move your heart to care just a little bit more about the things and people he cares about.
And second, demonstrate God's goodness through your actions each and every day. Like when you're in school, at home, in church, or out in your community, make an actual choice to help others when you see a need. When you see an opportunity to act on what's fair and to help those in trouble, do it. And if you find yourself noticing people who are missing something or someone from their lives, find a way to fill that void for them. When we ask God to move our hearts and to show love and goodness to other people, we're following his game plan for our life.
Love inspires us to act. So don't miss out on the game plan. Be motivated by God's love and his love for others. I think you'll be surprised at the way your view of serving changes when you do. As you leave today, I want you to think about this question. What's one need that I can meet in my school, community, or home this week?